What's your most hilarious sex story? I came back from a 3-month hike, went right to my girlfriend's place. At about 5 a.m. I arrived. Winter months, so it was very dark out. Girlfriend and I are in the middle of the deed when suddenly her bedroom door opens up and her mom peeks her head in. Luckily, the hall lights were off too, so it was totally dark in the room and we just saw her silhouette. She says, "Hey honey, I think your boyfriend is here. I see his car." Mind you, I am currently balls deep in her daughter and frozen in fear. Girlfriend says, "Yep, I know." Her mom goes, "Great, tell him I say hi when you see him." And she shuts the door. Girlfriend then says to me, "My mom says hi." And we giggle and keep going. How much do you want to bet that she knew but just didn't feel like talking about it? Let's just say it was the battle of fishnet versus teeth braces. Replace teeth braces with new nipple piercings, you have one of the most embarrassing nights on stage with the stripper pole. It is hard to recover from that level of pain mid-set. Cringing just thinking about it. It hurts so much when they get stuck. I definitely learned a lesson that night. It was my first time performing with them, and my dumbass thought a fishnet top would show them off. I went on autopilot and pulled it off like I always did, but this time I realized my mistake. The shirt was off my head and now inside out, so it was a full clusterfuck to get untangled. 99% sure I screamed. I wasn't allowed to leave the stage, so another dancer had to come help me and try to play it off like we were being sexy. Also, 99% sure no one bought it. In new relationship at the time and hadn't really explored much beyond second at this point, one night we were fearlessly making out, fully clothed. She took her top off and started to really get into it and grind and moan. Was too distracted by her body to notice we'd crept over near the edge of the bed and way too into it to care. Having been months without any arrivals at this point, I did a load in my pants. He was startled and jumped up, which then sent me into the floor. I hit the floor face down and ripped a huge fart on impact to make it worse. I'd have died of embarrassment if it was possible. She called it the trifecta: finish, fall, fart. When my wife and I first got married, we started trying to get her pregnant. Months had gone by with no luck, and the one day my wife casually mentioned that coughing is supposed to help. So that night we got it on, and as I was coming, I started loudly coughing. She freaked out and asked me if I was okay. I then told her I was just trying out the coughing technique she had mentioned earlier that day. She just deadpan stared at me for a couple seconds and says, Coffee is supposed to help." Not entirely a sex story. On my 18th birthday, I was grounded, but my girlfriend was able to come over and hang out and have dinner. Well, before dinner, she decided it was time for my present and got down on her knees. Now, the rule in the house was the door had to be open a crack when a girl was in my room. Not more than a few minutes into my present, I hear my mom call my name. I jump back and pull my pants together. Fast forward 30 minutes to one of the most awkward birthday dinners I have ever had. Bonus to the story, a month later, I was driving the car with my mom. I was a new driver and just getting used to the freeways. My uber Catholic mom turns to me and I quote, "I know you were getting a blowjob in there. I damn near crashed the car in surprise." Speaking as a parent, we always know. Ow! Teenagers are nowhere near as subtle as they imagine themselves to be. Believe it or not, your parents were once horn dog too. Yep, we were horny teenagers once too. We know all the things you think you're being so sneaky about, because we probably did them ourselves at that age. Not my parents, but my sister saw my car in the driveway, so popped in for a visit, because it was the house we grew up in, and she knew where the key was. She entered the house and walked into my bedroom, which was close to the entrance. My new girlfriend, hadn't met my sister at this point, was under the covers going down on me. She stopped mid-bob, so to speak, and stayed silent, pretending there was no one in the bed apart from me. That also reminds me of a time I was with a girl while her parents were out. I head out to my car in only my jeans while her dad came home. I just kept walking by, got into my car and left, leaving all other clothes in her room. She tried to say we were playing basketball and got too hot. Really didn't explain why I pieced out half naked. Maybe 19 at the time. Lady friend at the time wanted to try some brand of warming lube. She slathers it on my cock. It doesn't really kick in right away. Moments later, my cock is on fire. Her vagina is on fire. We both run to the bathroom. She jumps into the tub and starts running water, splashing herself between the legs. I have my leg up on the counter trying to clean the lube off in the sink. We both are laughing and crying the entire time. Effing ridiculous. Fiance and I were hiking in some canyons in Utah and decided to sneak off behind some rocks for some intimacies. We hadn't seen anyone in hours, and it was evening, so we weren't too worried about people. Of course, once we start getting really into it, we hear voices. We freeze and stand there silently, with him still in me, waiting for them to pass by, trying so hard not to laugh. But then they stopped, right there, on the other side of our rocks for food and water, as we were like that for like 5 minutes before they finally passed on. Once they were gone, we picked up where we left off and laughed the entire time. Fireside in the living room, started going at it on the carpet. My thrust started moving her across the room. When we got close to the doorway, she said, "Hey, take a right here into the kitchen so I can grab a juice." We lost it and couldn't stop laughing. She never did get that juice. My now wife and I started dating senior year of college. One night, after closing down the bars, we walked back to her place. We were both pretty hammered and it was like 3 a.m. I just wanted to pass out and she wanted to bang. So she gets me going and is riding on top, and somewhere in the middle I fall asleep. She wakes me up pissed off, and I guess I just asked, "Was it good?" Rolled over and went back to sleep. She still doesn't think it's funny 10 years later, but I do. I have drunkenly fallen asleep during a BJ from both of my longest term relationships. They said similar things, and I had only noticed once I started snoring. Yeah, neither of them saw the funny side either. I had a girlfriend try to wake me up with a BJ once. She did wake me up, and I looked down at her for a moment and said, "Oh," and promptly went back to sleep. Yeah, I had that once and only once. Don't get me wrong, it was a lovely way to be woken up, but I had to gently explain I really needed to pee. Like bladder bursting pain, kinda really need to pee now. I think she got the hump that I would rather go piss than enjoy the moment, cause she never did it again. An ex of mine did something similar. I'm not a morning person. It usually takes me an hour before I can consider myself lucid. She goes to town on me and says I kinda woke up. She claims I looked down, said, "Having fun?" and then passed out with the eyes rolling to the back of my head and everything. I finally wake up later. She said she was surprised I didn't wake back up from her laughter of the whole debacle. My ex thought I had fallen asleep while she was giving me head and decided to bite the tip gently to wake me up. I wasn't asleep, just laying down and buried within my own thoughts. Hurt like hell though, and I had a small scar down there for over a month. She thought the scar was so cute and giggled every time she saw it. Hang on, we have decided to bite the tip gently and hurt like hell, and I had a small scar down there for a month. Jesus Christ, man. I hate to know what your definition of hard bite would be. Would you expect her to actually bite it off and spit it out of the window as breakfast for the crows? I fell asleep while making out with my first serious girlfriend. Just one of those momentary nod-out lapses in consciousness. Although the brevity was more than likely due to the fact I was sleeping on top of a woman, was confused and shocked by the fact that she had just gone from kissing to lying under an unconscious man connected at the mouth. Surreal. I had my boyfriend fall asleep on top of me once. The horrible thing is we had been watching Miss Brown's Boys, and the intro just kept repeating with the laugh. I couldn't reach the remote and couldn't move him, so I was stuck on a couch listening to Miss Brown's laugh every 30 seconds. After half an hour, I lost it and started jabbing him in the ribs to wake him up because I was going insane listening to that laughter. Damn, that's a deep sleeper. I'm glad you made it through that. He slept like the dead. He's also 6'2" and I'm much smaller, so I was literally trapped under a giant on the couch. I should have started trying to wake him up way earlier, but it was one of those first times together and we had a lot of whiskey, and I didn't want to be rude. But oh my fucking gosh, I swear I have PTSD being trapped under a giant and forced to listen to that laugh for so long. I have been the partner in this situation, and when I realized he was passed out, I was more horrified than mad. I was worried that I had taken advantage when he wasn't really in the state of mind to consent. He swore the next day when we talked to me that he had been 100% on board and it just caught up to him and knocked him out. But I couldn't look at myself in the mirror for a while because I felt so creepy.